Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, and today is New Truth Tuesday, and we are bringing you more and more truth every day. Hopefully, you guys are starting to see some of this as well, but things are changing in the USA and abroad. So, we'll have some more new truth from Amy Fulmer, the grief goddess, right after this quick break. We're back. Thanks so much, Amy, for joining us. Your hair looks very lovely. Looks like you
Thank
got a
you.
haircut from last
I
week.
did.
Yes.
All 3
Yeah.
inches.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, we missed seeing you last week. We were traveling. Is that right? Is that what week it is? I am so off on time and what week it is and what day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, isn't Bitcoin supposed to drop in the tank by now? And I think we finally hit that day.
Yeah.
Down there, but there's more and more stuff happening. I'm seeing a lot of these military drills, and there was a big bomb that was set off by the Navy out in some ocean that caused like earthquakes up to 500 or up to 100 miles away.
Mhm.
A lot of things happening and not happening. So where are we on the Arizona audit? We have
Okay.
to put in
All right, you guys.
Speaking of bombs.
Yeah. So we've got some truth bombs. I still contend that Maricopa County is the center of the universe. So the story's getting bigger. What I want to do today with you guys, and I was reluctant to do this, but I have to. There's about, Lisa, an 8-minute clip. And this is from one of the Arizona state senators. She's I also brought you her website. Now, This is an interview with her. And she is a former Naval Air Force pilot instructor. She is giving the absolute latest as of where we're at with the audit, what the issues are. This is a power-packed truth bomb interview, and I'm afraid that YouTube's going to take it down. So what I thought, Lisa, we would do is we'd start our show with this. Then as Lisa, you find segments as we go through this video clip that you want to talk about, you can just pause it and then we can do a quick chat. And this is, and I also sent you her website.
Yes, I have that too.
And her name, it's Karen Rogers is her name?
Wendy Rogers.
Wendy Rogers. Okay. Mm-hmm. She is up there with Karen Fan. This woman is absolutely fantastic. I mean, any of these ladies could be the next president of the United States. But what I want to show you guys, and I want you when you're watching this, because you guys are smart, you get this and you know it. But what I want you to focus on is notice how rational she is, how cogent she is. Notice that she's dealing with a tremendous amount of facts. She's coming at this from a patriot point of view. She's not slandering the left. They're not putting up a psyop person. This is something, in my opinion, we're looking at the modern day Battle of Gettysburg. Like, this is our modern day warfare, okay? And it's happening right here, right now in front of our eyes, only we're not supposed to see it. Mm-hmm. So when I saw this video, Lisa, and I watched it because it came across my Arizona local news feed, I was like, we have to watch this because I'm afraid YouTube's going to take it down. This is just too power packed. So we're going to start, you guys, with this. This is something also you can share with other people that see. The mainstream narrative is that we patriots are unhinged, Trump supporters who are totally disconnected from reality. We're sore losers, and there is zero basis for this audit. There couldn't be anything farther from the truth. And this right here shows the fight. And the fact that it's so comprehensive, it's going to blow your mind. So enjoy. Lisa, you stop it whenever you feel like you want to add something or question something. If people have questions in the comments.
Okay.
But this is unbelievable. So here we go.
Okay. I'll see if we can do it maybe on a little bit sped up, if we can still understand it okay. But we'll check.
Absolutely asked technical questions, procedural questions. How do I do this in my state? I have every visitor that I've met, I have all their data in my smartphone. I was contacted by Washington State today, one of the 5 individuals who had come out. Hey, Senator Rogers, I want to follow up with you. I have about 6 questions here. We're trying to move forward. And I got him the information he wanted. When Pennsylvania came out, Doug Mastriano, who is very well known for leading the charge in Pennsylvania, he and I are both parachutist qualified, and we both jumped out of a perfectly good airplane.
Why did you do that?
Good question, especially as an Air Force pilot. I did it 5 times. But anyway, he and I really bonded over the fact that we both had that qualification, and we talked one-on-one several times. And he would ask us questions, technical questions, legal questions. How do I move forward? How do I get back in touch with you? We did full-up in briefings with the CEO of Cyber Ninjas for an hour before each of these groups would then go onto the floor to have the quote-unquote hands-on look. And so when they would talk to Cyber Ninjas CEO, they would ask also these questions. Well, what have you learned? And by the way, these professionals have come so far in the many weeks that they've been conducting this audit in terms of improving best business practices, taking lessons learned and implementing various procedures. And if you look at my after action reports, all 3 of which are on my Facebook, Wendy Rogers AZ, facebook.com/Wendy Rogers AZ, they're all approved, and they're all meticulously, carefully worded to explain a lot of what has been going on objectively. Again, if you think about it, 2,000 people have volunteered at this audit.
Wow.
2,000 people. And every single one of them was vetted and background checked. And not once was any one of those people asked, are you Democrat or Republican? Everything is being filmed live, azaudit.org. If you want to go right now.
And you can watch it
you
live,
can watch
folks.
It. Everything,
anywhere in the country.
And we're not talking just 9 cameras throughout the floor of the Coliseum. You're talking every table having a camera on the top and a camera on the side. And I read Police Commissioner Carrick's article, I think this morning, that he wrote yesterday, his sort of after action report, having been out to the audit. And he likened it to casino security in Las Vegas or Atlantic City, where cheating is just not allowed. So they have acutely honed in security on the tables and people watching procedurally for any kind of anomaly, because you can't cheat when you go gamble at these places. And so this was coming from him as kind of a unique perspective. He said, this is even tighter than casino security. For me, as an Air Force pilot, I likened it to being someone who would go to the flight line. You will be spread-eagled and on the ground if you try to get past the guard at an Air Force flight line. I also got to host Eric Greitens, who's a former governor of Missouri, running for U.S. Senate, U.S. Navy SEAL.
Oh, right.
And he said that it reminded him of being stricter than nuclear handoff procedures. So this is the kind of scrutiny that visitors have been exacting upon the scene, if you will, and comparing it to their background. And it is really, really something. So we can be very proud. And to finally round up to answer your question, I believe that the agenda that every single visitor has been to, how do I package this up, take it home, and make it work for my state? And every person who's participated in the audit had to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Right. Exactly.
And what can I say? The CEO of Cyber Ninjas told me, and I think this is in my notes, he said, Senator Rogers, I just can't wait till this is over, and then 2,000 people who signed non-disclosure agreements will be allowed to talk.
There you go. And obviously, Cyber Ninjas wants to be able to protect their intellectual property here. However, if there was a way to maybe do a non-disclosure agreement and get the quote-unquote Bible, if you will, of this entire audit process, almost like a a blueprint of exactly how that's done and send that off to different states. I'm wondering, is that something that could possibly be in play or something that they're working on?
I can't speak for them, but my impression would be that absolutely what they're developing can be replicated. And I mean,
Correct.
they're a business. They've been in business for many years, and they have hired really, really bright people. Every time I go to the audit, yesterday I decided I wanted to have lunch with some of the security people, also some of the Arizona Rangers. I'm just,
God bless the Arizona Rangers.
I know,
Yes.
and I just have sort of
Love
an
you.
affinity for some of these folks who are really, really on the ground, who have taken me around. And there are a lot of people who are contractors at the audit who are from Pennsylvania. I mean, I didn't really know all this. I thought they were all sort of homegrown from Arizona. They're from other states. They're on the payroll
And
here.
they're probably enjoying our nice warm weather too.
Oh my gosh. Well, they work so hard. They work 6 days a week. It's 12 hours
They
a
don't
day.
notice that
You know what this whole
117.
thing kind of reminds me of? It's something that has never been done before. We have a goal. We're not exactly sure everything that it takes to get there. But when NASA first started,
Right.
they said, we're going to put a man on the moon. How are we
Right.
going to do it? Well, we'll work our way through
We'll
it.
figure it out.
And we're going to put it together and we're going to create, like you said, Josh, a blueprint
Right.
And
that can be replicated.
to your point, another interesting thing I learned every time I go there, I mean, I've probably been there 7, 8, 9 times now, that week off,
Mhm.
where the high schools had the venue rented for a week. Oh, they had meetings. They perfected their best business practices. Another interesting thing, each color group, there was green, blue, yellow, and they would develop best ways to do that. If they saw somebody who was a counter who might not be as strong as someone at another table, they were constantly putting ability people together.
Right.
One individual who I talked to several times is a PhD, best business practices, business efficiency kind of guy, who was a county manager in New Mexico. You have people from all over the country who are paid because they're the best in the business and put together on this effort. And you don't really know that until you go and visit. And each time I would go, I'd meet more people. I met a retired general, Air Force general, pilot, who was pointed out to me and came to talk to me. And he flew in Strategic Air Command.
Wow.
And he said, Wendy, this is stricter than SAC was. Now that resonated with me.
Oh, wow.
And because that, yeah, and
security.
he said, I just can't, he said, if I go to the bathroom for 10 minutes, I got to sign off everything. I mean, you
It's the way it
just,
should be, though.
and there are attorneys on the floor the entire time because there's what we call a sterile cockpit atmosphere down there where no one can have small talk. No one can say, what movie did you watch on TV last night? Everything is very, very strict.
Right.
And what Cyber Ninjas debriefed me on when we talked about that aspect, he said, everything on the floor is as though we are in a court of law at the moment.
Wow.
Well,
At
Exactly.
the moment. So that's why they have attorneys constantly on the floor, because if anything is challenged, it will withstand
First-hand
scrutiny.
witness.
Right.
Yeah.
And Jovan Pulitzer actually said in another interview, he was basically daring anyone to try to challenge the results of the election because of his technology and the kinematic forensic audit and all the different checks and balances and all the different, making sure that every single, I is dotted, T is crossed. I mean, like you said, it's very, very meticulous. And what I worry about is after everything is done, are they going to try to stop the results from coming out? Are they going to
Yes.
try to do a gag order,
Yes.
so to speak? Because I've been talking about
Yes,
that.
We haven't
last
even
week.
seen anything compared to what the
They're gonna try.
Democrats
Would
are going
you
to start. They're going to
Probably
start.
agree.
They're going to start a forest fire. Pardon me for those of you that live in the forest fires.
But I don't think it's going to work. That's the thing.
Oh no!
I don't think it's
gotta
gonna
get
work.
The
through
horse has
this.
left the barn.
Yeah. Passwords?
Passwords.
Passwords.
Passcodes,
Okay.
yeah, passcodes.
I'm in over my head to answer that.
Okay,
So I'm
okay.
going to defer. We don't have everything we'd like to have, but
I believe
we have enough.
We got
And you
yours in the
saw in the
studio.
hearing,
It's a deer in here.
It was just stated by Ken Bennett on another talk show just before we came on that they still haven't received some essential items that they
Wow.
need.
right?
So they're still waiting.
And
But
then the other question.
We have enough.
But the other question, and this is equally as important, are they going to count the ballot images? That's been kind of up in the air.
Right,
for
the second
years.
audit, if you will, that they were talking
The
about.
continuation.
Yeah.
Oh,
Images.
that's undetermined.
Part two. Okay.
Because I know that's been discussed.
So, but you might ask me, could down ballot races be counted in the future? Sure.
Yeah.
Could other counties be counted. Sure.
Right.
It
I
all
think
costs money.
Liz Harris
It's
just
all bandwidth
promoted
oriented.
that, yeah.
So the liaison, which is Ken Bennett, former Secretary of State, he had mentioned that what they're doing now and what they're completing and will be shortly in the next few days, the last couple of boxes, is one part of a greater audit, which is, I think, what you're talking about,
Right.
Josh, is that,
Yeah.
that this is not the end of the audit here. They still have other things that they're working on
Right.
to complete a full forensic audit.
Yeah.
But we had a chance, Senator, to talk a little bit before, and you like to move forward. You like to say, okay, we know what's happened. How can we move forward for the integrity of the election? And you brought something here. I don't think it's been released yet, so this is breaking news here on Hub Radio Phoenix, but you have a sampling of a ballot for future elections. Can you share this with us?
Sure.
Did I
right.
jump the gun?
No, and this isn't approved.
It's going to be difficult to see.
It's
that.
a sampling.
Okay,
Sampling.
this is what you would normally see as a ballot, but what's really interesting, and we showed our grandkids this Sunday. I don't know if you can see.
No, you're not
There
gonna.
No, okay, but this is a black
Maybe
light.
if we turn it here, let me hold this.
Okay.
If we hold this at a slight angle, maybe.
There it is.
No,
You
you
can,
don't.
you can
No,
see a
okay,
little.
so
I can see
what
it.
I'm trying to illustrate here is that there is
Secret.
there's intricate artwork and numbering that only a black light could see. And the bottom line is this is uncounterfeitable. And so this is made by a company, and it's actually being shown around the country by my colleague, State Rep Mark Fincham, who's a great patriot.
The next Secretary of State.
If I
And-
could describe this real quick, and you guys have seen this as well, I believe it's the Great Seal of the state of Arizona.
Right.
State of Arizona
Is
seal,
embedded in that,
right?
and only a black light or
And
ultraviolet
it
light
says
can
an
see it.
official ballot at the top. It's much more than a watermark because you can only see it by a black light. But the beauty about this is that in the past there has been an opportunity for printers to just print
Right.
ballots. This would be impossible because you
Correct.
have one company that is doing all those. So you can say we want 2,100,000
Right, and-
ballots, and that's what you get.
And
Some of
there-
the other things that
Right, and so there is also
Oh,
a
this is really cool.
QR code.
You
There's
don't
Oh, there we
say.
go. There we go.
QR
Oh.
code.
Look, we got this up on the screen. This is what this
Good
is.
job.
Okay, so
Thanks,
the
Neil.
QR code isn't quite showing
You
that.
see what you got on the screen?
Yes.
So with this QR code, now you asked me to take my camera, my
Yes,
smartphone,
yes.
and take a picture, and then this is what comes up on that. And I know we can't get a close up, but it says your unique ballot ID is
Show it again.
this number right there. So you can go ahead and scan your ballot, and it will show you exactly what that number of ballot is. So these are proprietary, and they are numbered by that scan code. So there's no way
Right.
that anybody can duplicate this or falsify this
Right.
to go through the
No
machine.
more midnight dumps.
And also at the bottom of the ballot, you see these two symbols.
Oh.
And don't worry, your privacy is safe, okay? Because when you put your phone, as Ray did, on the QR code, it won't show your name. It'll show a unique number to you as the voter. And then, of course, our PhD engineer son asked me Sunday, well, will it know how I voted? Of course not. And so how much do you think one of these costs? Our 7-year-old grandson said, Grandma, 20 cents? And I said, how'd you know that?
It's always
And-
He's been watching Hub Radio
Yeah,
Phoenix.
and so I said, well, and then I asked his sister, we have 5 million voters in Arizona, so how much money is that? She said $1 million. Homeschool kids.
Oh,
And,
Excellent.
Can we afford $1 million? I think so.
Oh, well,
I think so.
how much have we spent for not doing this properly?
Right.
Yeah. I just have one more question. You've established some great relationships with other legislators around the country and in many other states. Would you be willing to go out and assist them if they asked you to come out? Because I know the session will be ending here soon. Is that something you'd be willing to do?
I'd do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Amen.
I'm on the front line.
Thank you, Colonel.
And actually,
He's a scrapper.
well, we have a Cessna, and so that'd give me a great place to go fly.
And this is a true patriot. For those of you who are wondering who you trust, who are the true public servants, who are the true patriots, right over here,
Right
Senator
over here.
Rogers.
Wow. That's
I know.
incredible. Yes.
So as you guys can see, we're not playing. We're not playing.
Oh, they may have just
Contacts.
deleted that because then it said error occurred when I tried to.
Oh, well, they could be taken. I'm surprised I even got it to you, Lisa.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's still there. Oh, there. It's still there. Okay. So I'll share that link in the description as well. Pretty exciting. A lot of the stuff. I mean, it's one of those things I'm tired of. I'm going to have to get some new conspiracies if I want to consider myself a conspiracy theorist, because we have been talking about QR codes, blockchain voting. Uh, we saw them on some of the videos passing those ballots through black lights from the count that we went through already. So
Mhm.
once again, it makes me wonder, did they do that already? And that's how they're able to show what ballots are valid previously. And it gets confusing when I say blockchain voting. It There's some people talking in the chat about EOS blockchain. Yes, it can be changed. It's not that the vote would be on the blockchain, it's that the blockchain would validate the paper, and then the paper is counted. So you're not voting technically on the blockchain, but the blockchain would be used for custody, chain of custody of the paper ballot.
Right, right,
So
right, right.
just to clear everything up for everybody, because I went round and round about that with Beatles.
Right.
And he helped me understand the risks that there is for blockchain voting if it's just all on the blockchain. But
Right, right.
he was talking about
So,
you could
you know,
validate.
I think also, Lisa, what's really cool is it gives us a pulse of where are we at, because you got to understand the MSM is not going to show this. They are committed to the narrative that
Mhm.
we are just unhinged and this
Yeah.
is a witch hunt. Okay.
Yeah.
And what you've got to understand is this is the most, I mean, I was so impressed with the whole system. And they're also very realistic about the road in front of us. But what I think is so important about this, you guys, when you have a woman like her in charge and the crew in charge and cyber ninjas and their best practices, you've got to understand this is attracting other states like a magnet. I
Mhm.
mean, the state of Washington, are you kidding me?
Pennsylvania. I mean,
Right.
they've already said there's, I think, 10 or more states that are looking into what Arizona's doing and looking to duplicate it. And I love that along the way, they're not waiting until the audit's over to try to come up with a solution. They're finding solutions along the way.
Along the
This
way.
could
Mhm.
all happen very quickly, folks. I mean,
Right.
we could
Right.
be looking at another vote.
Well, that Lisa leads to the tweet that I
Okay.
sent you,
Okay.
because it's the definition of forensic audit, and this leads us exactly into that conversation about, okay, so let's assume here, let's, for a thought, oh God, my system wants to update. No, thank you. Okay, let's go here. The,
Oh, here it goes. It's the Bear Cub comment under the Chuck Callista that says the forensic audit
yes,
is
okay,
different. It can
yeah,
cause it to be decertified. If one state gets decertified, it nullifies the entire count.
okay, so let's stop there, you guys. Number one, this is on Twitter. Okay, so we have no validation. None of us are constitutional lawyers. So please understand now, this is all one grand adult conversation. This is a
Right.
thought process. But I feel as Americans and also as a grief worker, we're working through this as it's happening, because if this doesn't go right and we don't get truth, there's going to be a lot of internal grief as a patriot over this. Like, this is so important, you guys. And I am so proud of what's going on here in Arizona right now. I could burst. But I saw this and I thought, I've heard the term forensic audit versus regular audit. Everybody's saying now, well, what happens if Arizona and then all the states fall in line? Now, the lefties are saying, no way is Biden being removed. No way he's president. It was certified. There's not a chance that this is going to happen. That's their position. They've dug down. Okay, let's assume that we're now looking at 2024. Well, we have to have, if this isn't fixed now, Lisa, like you said, we have no 2024. We have
Well,
no
and we're
country.
looking at midterm elections 2022 coming
Right.
up.
Exactly.
I mean,
Right.
for the House and the Senate.
Right. So what we have here is, this is the big argument. They're talking about the terms decertification, nullified, rescinded, impeachment, and fraud. So people are saying, if it turns out that there was election fraud, does that mean there was a fraudulent inauguration and certification? Remember when Pence right, when Pence certified the election that day, does that make them fraudulent? And then what? Do we
And
default?
treasonous.
And Lisa, it opens up a
Yeah.
incredible. So this is what I find so thought-provoking. To me, this is the conversation right now, because this could go one of three ways. Number one, the audit comes back and B1 fair and square. Listen, we have to face the facts. That could
Yes,
happen.
that's a possibility.
It's in the realm. Or it comes back that there was massive fraud and Trump won by a small margin, or Trump won by a large margin. Okay. That's what we're looking at. And then the boxing gloves go on, because at that point, the other side, whatever you want to call them, lefties, whatever they are, believe me, there's rhinos in there too.
Right.
That's when they're going to dig in, and it's going to get nasty. In other words, we're still in romper room right now, as far as I'm concerned. And when you've got people like Karen Fan, you've got this woman here, my other new best friend,
Wendy Rogers. Yeah.
Wendy. Well, here's her website here, right here, you guys, if you want to check her out. I mean, she is fantastic. And any one of these people, I would seriously entertain voting for if they ran for any senior office in our country. These ladies are rational, they're cogent, they're smart, they're team players, they have discipline, they're not unhinged. But they don't play games, Lisa. Can you please put up the thumbnail picture for this show? There was a reason I picked that thumbnail picture. And there was a psychological reason I picked that. It was more of like, this is what they're doing to us. Because if you can't tell me that this is the same person, look at that. Look at that, guys. These are the games that they're playing. Now, listen,
Well, and that goes to that Mandela effect, that we're, okay, are we on different timelines, or have they been telling us different stories? We talked about this, I don't know if it was on Woo Woo or maybe on, maybe it was on John Claude's, but when you sent me this picture, I thought, and I've seen some other pictures of Mr. B and different things.
right.
And it's just one of those things where I don't know, have they been, I think they've been doing this to us for a long time.
That's what, Lisa, that's exactly why I sent it to you, sweetie, because I completely agree. First of all, look at the hair. In 2014, as men age, they get less hair. He's got more hair. This person in 2021 has more hair, okay? Unless that's a hair transplant. But it doesn't look like a hair transplant to me. The nose isn't even the same nose. The chin, the whole thing. This is not the same person.
The dimples are gone. I mean, just totally different. Yeah.
Look at the ear.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first, what I'm going to call a PSYOP picture, that I'm like, this literally seems to me is a high probability it's not even the same person. So what I'm saying is, when you're talking about voter integrity and the integrity of our country, I'm telling you, the American people have had it. They've had it with the lies. More and more people are waking up as a result of what's happening in Arizona. I mean, people are starting to catch on. And it's not the scenario that the other side would say. We are not being looked at as unhinged, Trump derangement syndrome people. That's not what we have here. We have patriots that are look at 2,000 people showed up to do that vote, Lisa.
Right.
They're working, and they're there
12-hour days, 6 days
12
a week.
Exactly.
And when she talked about, when she was describing that they have the 3 attorneys on the floor, and that it's no small talk, it's just like you're in a courtroom. I wonder if that's the piece that makes it a forensic audit. I wonder, I don't know all the difference between just a regular audit and a forensic audit, but I would think that's at least one of the pieces where it is being handled like you're in a courtroom.
Right. Well, she used the term, which I thought was amazing, sterile cockpit.
Mm.
I mean, if that doesn't tell you we're not playing, I don't know where the other side is getting the term, unhinged, conspiracy, tinfoil hat, Trump derangement syndrome people. This is not unhinged behavior you're talking about. This is Americans are coming forward. And I've even read on Twitter that there's a lot of people that are liberals that also want this because they're not sure. It's not anymore just about B and T.
Yeah.
It's moved way beyond that. And what I'm saying is what is so to me apparent is when I saw this video, this is the modern day battlefields. You know, this is the Normandy beach right now. This is our modern version. And this is intense. And it's something that as the news unravels, if I can get these videos and get this information, because Lisa, I get stuff and then it's gone. This site has been
Yeah.
removed. This just like we did last week. And
Right.
so I can't get it fast enough to get it to you to capture it before it's taken down. And why are they taking it down?
Yeah, they don't want people to see the truth. They don't want people to start having these. I mean, that was a very rational and very fact-filled video. And they don't want people seeing those kind of things because they want mainstream media wants to have this narrative of, oh, you know, those are all Trump supporters that are in there doing this. And, you know, that it's not a legitimate forensic audit with you know, all the legal pieces in place to make sure that it stands.
Right. And it's so exciting to think that so many more states now are starting to show up. And now that she's offered her service as a great patriot to help other states put together the process, the policies and procedures, the sterile cockpit. In other words, she's developed a system that can be reduplicated in other states. I mean, that is like a wow factor. There is nothing. And we know they've already tried to stop it with attorneys. They had 100 attorneys try to stop this audit.
Right.
It could not be done. Now, bear in mind, next week, is it HR 21? HR 21.
HR1.
The one, I think it's HR, is it 1 or 21 that they're
I thought it
voting
was
on
1.
to move, Lisa, in Congress and Senate, to move the voting procedures to the national level. They're voting on it next week. I think it's HR 21.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm mistaken. So on that line of thinking, I'll look into that, see if I can find something. There are all these states who are making these individual voting requirements. Oklahoma has a great system that you can request a absentee ballot, but then your vote has to be what is it called? Authorized. I just went right out my
Certified,
my window. Not
verified,
certified.
verified.
Who is it that signs stuff that proves that you show your ID and they sign for you?
Oh, when you get it notarized.
Notarized. Thank you. So you have that option, you know, because there are people that are unable to, you know, stand in line or make it to the voter polls. And we want to make sure that every legal American has the opportunity to vote. So we've got a really great system in place. And they were talking about that in this Tulsa World article. Then, you know, Michigan just went 19-16 vote and passed their state bill 285 requiring voter ID for all absentee mail-in ballots.
Okay.
And then the House in Arizona, they also voted 31-29 to pass a bill requiring signature verification for all ballots. And so I think the states, and this is constitutional, the states are who should set these. And that is because the people are the voice of who tells how and how we will do this vote. So
I also think what this is bringing to the forefront constitutionally, and this is so exciting. And I actually, this was not my thought. I have to share and give credit to Dave on the X22. I watched him and Ben's show this morning, which was a phenomenal piece. You know, the states are starting to take back their power, and very gingerly at first, but this is part, Lisa, of the Great Awakening, and our Constitution supports that. And it was originally set up. That's how our founding fathers set this country up. We were supposed to have a very small piece at the top that got control. Well, the thing about this legislation that the left is trying to push through is they're trying to get this done. I think it's HR 21. I don't know if you want to Google
I'm
that.
trying to look for it. Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, it's either HR 1 or 21.
I was
And
gonna
it's
say
going,
the 21 doesn't, it looks,
it's not
21's
coming.
talking about, it's interesting, but it's talking about it's through the GSA, Federal Risk Authorization Program, within the GSA must establish government-wide program that provides authoritative and standardized approach to security assessment and authorization for cloud computing products and services that
No,
process. So
yeah.
this, that's not it, but it makes me wonder why that was in your mind, because
Okay.
interesting that they're talking about cloud computing. Anyway,
Yeah. So
squirrel
sorry, you
moment,
guys,
but
I don't have the name of the exact
yeah, I
number
believe
of
it's
this,
HR 1.
that this bill, but it's
It's
going,
the whole For the People Act, right? That's this, it's the HR 1.
and they're trying, what the left is trying to do is they're trying to make it so the whole process in Arizona would not be a state privilege to make that choice.
Right.
That choice would be removed from them. And all of that now goes to the federal government umbrella, and they would have the control. So what they would be doing under this new bill is taking all the control away from the states on many serious levels, one of them being the voter process. Now,
Yeah, so I have it right here. It's the
Okay.
For the People, the irony of that.
Yes.
Act of 2021. The bill addresses voter access, election integrity, and security, campaign finance, and ethics for the 3 branches of government. Specifically, the bill expands voter registration, automatic and same-day registration, and voting access, vote by mail, and early voting. It also limits removing voters from voter rolls, which I had heard that over 100,000 voters were removed, I believe, in Georgia today, that they were either dead or they had sent them a confirmation through the Postal Service and they didn't respond. So there's people that had moved away. Let's see. It says this bill
Right. So
requires the state to establish independent redistricting commissions to carry out congressional redistricting. It goes on to say that additionally, the bill sets forth provisions related to election security, including sharing intelligence information with state election officials, supporting states in securing their election systems, developing a national strategy to protect the U.S. democratic institutions, establishing in the legislative branch of the National Commission to protect the United States democratic institutions, and other provisions to improve the cybersecurity of the election systems. Further, the bill addresses campaign finance, including expanding the prohibition on campaign spending by foreign nationals, requiring additional disclosure of campaign related fundraising and spending, requiring additional disclaimers regarding certain political advertising, establishing an alternative campaign. Then it goes on to talk about ethics. The bill requires the president, the vice president, and certain candidates for those offices to disclose 10 years of tax returns.
well,
Interesting.
and I love the way they write these bills because they make them so friggin' complicated. They can weave around them. That's part of the strategy. Instead of just saying straightforward, but this has it buried in it that it removes a lot from the state. And I think what's so exciting now is we're seeing the states start to reclaim their power. They're starting, I mean, you're starting to see players in each state, like Karen Fann, like our other senator here, step forward, and their voices are being heard, and the people in Arizona want this audit. I am here to tell you, I walk around where I got my haircut yesterday. I was talking to one of the ladies and she said, oh, absolutely, I want this audit.
Right.
I mean, people want, I like poll people when I'm out and about. I'm not out that much. I don't poll every person, but I'm like, oh, what do you think of the audit? They're like, it seems like a good idea to me. We really don't know what's going on. I mean, I don't ask what Republican or who'd you vote for. I said, what do you think of the audit? And so this is huge, you guys, and this is like explosive. So it's very exciting. I think it's very good news. This is our modern day civil war, and we just have to keep our eyes on this and stay positive and share this information. Let people know what's happening. It's very, very important as long as these videos stay up there. Now, Lisa, another thing that I had here, this is so interesting. This is, I don't know if any of you guys have ever driven by the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. So there's a freeway to the east of it. I don't know if it's I-95. So when you drive by the Pentagon, there's lots and lots of flagpoles that are flying the American flag, much that you see in Washington. And this was a homegrown movie that was taken past few days, and there's no American flags at the Pentagon. And I don't know if any of you guys could verify this or heard this, but Lisa, click on this thing. I mean, this is freaky. There's no American flags at the Pentagon.
Interesting. Hold on. Hold on one sec, guys. Let me go ahead and disconnect my headphones again.
So to my right here is the parade grounds. I grew up, anyway, my dad can tell you funny story. These are the two flagpoles that sit across the Potomac. There's one. There's two. And earlier today, I drove past, they're flying the American flag and the POW flag, guys. Here's the Pentagon, okay? There's the Pentagon, guys. And I've never seen it without flags, never. So I don't know what's happening, but that's the latest, guys. So it's 6:57 on June 21st. Okay, guys, it is 7 p.m. There's Washington Monument right there. And I just turned around because, because in my entire life, so anyway, my dad can tell you a story here. My dad would tell you a story about the parade grounds, the Pentagon. But if you look on Google Maps, you'll see what I'm coming up to right now. Anyway, the parade grounds. This is the Pentagon here, and in my entire life, I've never seen no flags in the Pentagon of the United States. There's the two flagpoles. They oppose the parade grounds, which is right there, guys. That's where ceremonies happen. I don't know. Maybe something's happened. I'm not sure of. There's a storm coming in. But anyway, right there are the two flagpoles of the Pentagon, and they have no flags. There's the Jefferson, the distance, and the Washington Monument. Going past the Pentagon. That's the parade grounds right there. My dad can tell you a story about when I was a kid. I fertilized the parade grounds with the wrong mixture of fertilizer. And anyways, all the grass died. It's a whole other story. But anyway, I just want to show you because here's the Pentagon here, guys. Right there. And empty parking lot. 7 o'clock, so most of the workers have left. But anyway, that's the latest, guys. No flags at the Pentagon.
So, wow. Lisa, there you go.
There's a storm coming indeed.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, wow. It is getting, like I said, we're seeing the new ballots earlier and showing that watermark or black light mark, which a lot of us had been called, conspiracy theorists, oh, you're crazy. There's no way they could do that. And then all these conspiracy theories are coming out. Now we're seeing, I've talked for a couple of years now about the flag and the changes in the flag, the significance of the flag with public on Woo Woo Wednesday. And these changes that we're going through now, it's significant. They take all the flag ceremony is taken very serious, and it all has, really significant meaning in it. So,
well, he had said that maybe there was a storm, and you're absolutely right. The American flag, whether you've had a Boy Scout that learns how to fold it, I don't even know if kids know how to fold flags anymore. But the point is that I think when there's a storm, what I've noticed is they put them at half mast and then they secure them. So I don't know that they totally remove them. I've never seen a governmental flagpole with no American flag on whether it was half mast, tied for a storm, secured for a storm, but I've never seen a bare flagpole.
I wonder if anybody in the chat knows. If you guys are watching this, and comment later, if you're watching this later, if you have some information about flag protocol. I know that you're not supposed to have a flag up unless you have a light on it. I thought you were supposed to take them down for storms, but I really don't know. When you were saying that about securing it, that made a lot of sense too. So I'd love to get some more information. That maybe that's something we can look at. I'll look into it and I will put that on Patreon for Patreon members for sure.
Mhm.
But there's definitely something going on. There's too much going on.
There's too many weird things. Now, the
Mhm.
other things I want you guys to think about when I talk to people about the audit, everybody, it's really interesting. Most people have a strong opinion on whether they think that B could be removed from office. And it's really hilarious because, like, all of a sudden, everybody's a constitutional expert. And it's cute because they have, as an American, they have their right to their opinion, right?
But that is the Great Awakening, and that is Nasera Jacera, is that people will be educated on the Constitution. We have to be
Right.
educated on it.
And
So,
what I like is that people have a feeling about it. Like, I'm talking to Mormon people and they're like,
mm,
oh, of course they would impeach him, or the military will remove him, or
yeah,
it's never going to happen. Never going to happen. T is going to have to wait to the next election. I mean, people have been thinking about this, and that's what I
mhm,
want you to know. I'm seeing less and less apathy. For a long time in politics, Americans were so apathetic. And I think, Lisa, you're right. And this is what makes it exciting. But I'm here to tell you, I have read that section of the Constitution, Lisa, that we've gone through over and over and
right.
over and over. I'm telling you, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but we are in uncharted waters, because when that Constitution was written, we didn't have the technology that we have today, and we didn't have the voter physical complication. We didn't have absentee and illegals voting and dead people voting. It was a
Right.
different thing. There was 3 times in the history of America, it was most of it during the 1800s, where there was voter fraud and they had to remove or change a president. But it was for very aberrant reasons that it was very easy to identify. It wasn't something done on a mass level like this, from what I could tell. And we are going to see very interesting things. I do think this is going to have to go to the Supreme Court. If it turns out that it goes the way we think and believe it's going to go, and we have an honest report from cyber ninjas, this is going to go to the Supreme Court, guys. That's what I'm thinking.
So Phil C is confirming he is a former Army man. Thank you for your service, sir. And he says flags do not come down for
Not for third.
thunderstorms. So
Okay.
I'm
Thank
curious what they do come down for. But unless we're changing the guard. So
Yeah.
really
So,
interesting.
I mean, is B getting ready to put up the CCP flag at the Pentagon? Is that his plan? I mean, he seems to be loving China, so why not just put up their flag if you think they're so great?
He'll put China on one side and Russia on the other.
There you go. Evidently, as rumor would have it, and this is a rumor, when he was in his meeting with Putin, I guess he called him Trump a couple of times.
Oh,
Did you hear that?
Wouldn't surprise me. So I did see a couple people had called for a cognitive test, which we know Mr. T took his and passed with flying colors. And actually, the doctor that implemented his cognitive test is who wrote Mr. B a letter demanding that he have one. And to me, that's not some big win for us either. I think that puts Kamala in a position where she thinks she will be in, but Fancy Nancy's not going to tolerate that because that's her big chance. And so Fancy Nancy's going to be waving that birth certificate showing that anchor baby status for Kamala. And then things will get interesting. I mean, we're not there yet. It's still, I mean, I remember when we were all just like, come on, it's the 20th and the certification date and all these things. And we're like, and Trump's like, we have lots of time. We have lots of time. We're going through this thing. We're going through it together. It's just, it's time for us to all wake up, have these conversations with people we love and people who are willing to listen or have an open mind. And at least it's exciting, Amy, for you to say, like, you're out polling people and at least they have an opinion about it. At least they're not pulling the whole, oh, I don't care about politics, it doesn't affect me.
Or,
they're saying,
and I do run into some lefties here. It's not like I don't.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty much migrated from California. Or New York.
There's a slow leak from California.
Oh God, please. Or from New York. But
Yeah.
here's the deal. when I would talk politics 5, 7, 10 years ago to people, they're like, oh, I'm not interested in politics. Like it was some removed planetary concept that never affected you. What I think people are waking up now, and that's what the infection did, was I think it caused us to really understand it's all connected, our financial system. And
Yes.
we don't even talk about that, Lisa. That's a
Right.
whole other thing.
Right.
The issuance in of the digital dollar, the takeover of the Trojan horse called Bitcoin. I mean, this is all, it's all coming together. It used to kind of look like a part, but now it's all converging. And I think people are understanding. And in a sense, if this is what it's taking to get people to see what your people see, I understand we're an echo chamber on your show. But if one person shares this and looks at that news clip, it has to get your attention. When they start using terms like sterile cockpit, I mean, it is not a joke what they're doing down there. And that should send a shot over the bow to
It's
future
interesting
elections.
to me that yeah, definitely. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. There
Oh, that's
was
okay.
recently American Airlines, I think, travels or I'm just putting all this together cognizantly. So yesterday when I was flying home, I was sitting next to a gentleman. He had his lovely mask on that said Air Force. And we got to talking, and he's going to be here in Oklahoma City for more than a week. And then he started talking to his buddy across the island. He goes, oh, yeah, we're all together and we're going to be here for a week. And I was
Oh,
like,
really? Huh.
and then we're seeing things like, the senator, and remember that Space Force, well, it came out of the Navy, right? It just makes me wonder what's going on. And so there was recently yesterday, and there's articles, I've had friends send it to me and I've sent it, that there were all these canceled flights for American Airlines this weekend. Is
Okay,
that because
now-
they're moving
No, Lisa,
other people?
Lisa, this is what I heard. And I don't know if this is true. I could make a phone call and find out. I could make a phone call and find out for sure if I need to, because I have a very high level contact at American Airlines and former president of Airline Pilots Association. But here's
Okay.
the deal. Here's the deal. The majority of the employees at AA got the jab.
Oh,
What I thought I heard Uncle Cliff tweet out, I could be wrong because I consume so much data. Sometimes I mix up my sources, is that they think it's the early side effects because they're calling in with headaches. Like the symptoms are all the same. And there's some of the early symptoms of like aneurysms and things from the.
so I know that there were a couple of pilots in the UK that we've had some accidents with pilots, which that was part of Cliff High's data. So if they're calling in,
They're
that's
calling in. No, this
absolutely
is huge,
heartbreaking.
Lisa. This isn't like a few pilots call in. And besides, they have pilots on reserve. It's called reserve, and you get paid whether you fly or not. And the flight attendants, so they sit and wait like with their phone, and they don't do anything. You can't drink. You can't do anything. You got to wait till you get called. And then if you don't get called by 7:00 at night, that means the main pilot showed up and you can take your uniform off and go and have a good time. So what happens is British Airways lost 4 pilots. Okay. American Airlines, evidently there was thousands, Lisa.
So they must have done a forced jab then.
There might
and I
have
have a
been.
friend that I talked to, Champ, and he was talking about, he was really upset because they were saying if you don't take the jab, that it's considered voluntary unemployment, and you're basic. And I was like, make them fire you and file unemployment on them. He's like, no, they said if you don't take it, they've got their little lawyers all written up. And so he's feeling like forced to take this jab. And we're seeing the response of that. That's heartbreaking.
Well, Lisa, that's a whole show in itself. And
Yeah.
I can't even
that's not
begin to,
true.
I can't even, because I've seen so much legislation come through and talks of legislation about the next steps. And oh, by the way, Uber has now partnered with the government, and they will drive people who cannot drive and don't have the money to get to a place to get a jab. They'll take them for free.
I just can't.
I mean, this kind of stuff is nefarious to me. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. So, but let's keep our eye on the good news. We
Yes.
have a truth bomb in the making with these audits. And I'll tell you what, no matter how they go,
And a
you know
plan to
what?
move forward.
Plan to move forward, and the emperors is going to be exposed with no clothes no matter what happens. I mean, the curtain is being pulled back, the band-aid is getting ripped off. Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore. I'm telling you, this shift is happening, and it's all going in the way of truth.
Very interesting. So you guys, please do us a favor, do everyone a favor and share this video. Let's get the information out there. Let's have people having these critical thinking conversation. Amy, I just really appreciate you so much. You bring a lot of great information to the channel and to the fam and the chat. And so, you guys, we got to stay in it. We're not done yet. You can find Amy's book about grief at Amazon.com. Don't Trip Potato Chip. And you can connect with Amy in the description below. I have a link to her website, amyfulmer.com. So always, always good to see you. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you tomorrow on Woo Woo Wednesday. And until then, be sure to love one another. Take care.